Welcome back to the Game 5 recap between the Bruins and the Sabres, and unfortunately, there is going to be a Game 6 in this series here. The Sabres falling to the Bruins 2-1 in overtime, Pasternak getting the goal in OT, and this was so disappointing. I don't want to overreact and bash the Sabres because I don't think it was a bad game. It wasn't great, but I think it was kind of a slugfest for both teams where they were both inconsistent, both had opportunities to win, and of course, Boston breaks through in OT for that one. But sticking to the Sabres perspective here, it was, again, I thought they would play a lot better with the at home with the crowd, potentially closing out the series. And I did mention it too in Game 4. I was where there was going to be kind of like a lull, that they're going to maybe take a step back in this game here too. And maybe you can just give more credit to Boston being, of course, backs against the wall, desperation, really kind of brought their A game against the Sabres and put the pressure on them. The Sabres at times, you say a good portion of the game, didn't really have answers too much for the Bruins. Again, there was plenty of opportunities, but across the board for both teams. You could arguably say Boston should have ran away with this game here with countless empty net shots they had that they missed or just couldn't connect on. It was, again, very frustrating for the Sabres, almost getting there, almost getting the goal, having chaos against Swayman at times, and not being able to break through. Looking to the left here for the team stats. Shots was similar. Boston favor 29-25. Hits once again goes heavily in the Boston's favor, 43-27. And I think that really showed that too. Of course, you saw Ostlund leaving the game, and for Lindy Ruff, he said afterwards that it doesn't look good. So unfortunately, it looks like he's going to be out for certainly the rest of the series. And if the Sabres do advance, probably a good portion of that too, or maybe out for the whole entire playoffs, even if they do go far. But at least for Game 6, yes, he's going to be out. The only good thing is, whether you like him or not, Norris is going to be ready for Game 6, and that's probably going to happen with that, of course, with Ostlund being out. So you have, again, the big hits, 43-27 in Boston's favor, penalty minutes, even 6-6. Faceoffs was better, but still a good portion in Boston's favor, 59.6 to 40.4. I think the game prior they were in the mid 20s or 30s in that category. So it got a little bit better. Did win some key ones down the stretch there, but again, that's when it has to be improved upon for this. One thing we can certainly rave about, finally, the Sabres officially scoring on the power play. Not technically, yes, we're talking over Game 4, they scored 2 seconds afterwards, so I kind of count that, but officially, they broke through with Dahlin getting, of course, the only goal in the game there back in the first period, and nothing else after that, too, assisted by Jason Zucker and Tage Thompson. Ellis Lindstrom was the unassisted goal in the second period. Like we said, Pasternak was the OT winner to win it for them. And bring down a little bit more of the box scores for both teams here. Again, not too much going on there with a low-scoring game. Certainly different compared to, of course, last game for this one. But if you care about plus minuses and so forth for both teams, that is certainly on display right now. Alex Lyon made 27 of 29 saves. Jeremy Swayman made 24 of 25. So again, pretty on par of what it was there. It was a different type of game, more defensively, certainly physical on Boston's favor for this one too. And again, I was worried in my recap video for Game 4 this was going to happen. And so far in this series, it's kind of been, the script's been flipped on its head, where the home teams thus far have not played well. Even though Buffalo did win Game 1 at home, it was not good until the final 7-8 minutes of the game. Boston really controlled that game for the most part there. And it's been, again, throughout the series where the home team has struggled. Hopefully, in our sake, that continues for our favor in Game 6, and Boston struggles going back home for that one. But again, I don't want to overreact to the loss here. It was a decent game. It really comes down to not capitalizing. I don't think being consistent is, certainly I would almost call the Sabres in this game bipolar, where when they had the opportunities, it was amazing. Scored a goal in the first period and getting tons of pressure on Swayman there. Swayman played a great game, a great bounce back from Game 4. So you can give a ton of credit for him as to why there was some struggles offensively on that one, not being able to finish. But when the chaos was there, it was intense. And then it was the polar opposite for that, where just not being able to get shots on net. I can't tell you how many times the Sabres would try and shoot and it would just hit a player, whether it's their own teammate, a Boston player in front of Swayman. So there was a good portion of shots that just didn't even connect to Swayman because they would just hit somebody in front of the net, the countless bodies in front of there, or they would just miss the net wide of a shot there. So there is that too, where I would just say overall they just weren't too consistent. And I would say just the physical play wasn't there. I would say, or you could also say just with that too, the energy. To me, it seemed like it was not there for a team that knew going into this for Lindy Ruff and for this team that Boston was going to be desperate. Obviously, I mean, everyone knew that. The fans, players, everyone knew that going into this one. Boston is desperate, being down 3-1 the series. They're going to give everything they can. Pasternak played better in this one, taking more shots than just passing up the puck. And of course, again, the inevitable OT winner in Game 5. And I'm just a little bit disappointed in that fact that it didn't seem like they were prepared enough to handle that. And again, it's not like they were completely outplayed. It wasn't horrible, like I said, in the sense there was plenty of opportunities from both sides that did not capitalize on the opportunities. But I would have wished to see that pressure they had in Game 3 and Game 4, where they were suffocating the Bruins at times when they be in the Bruins zone, putting up a wall and stifling them. I wish I would have saw that intensity, especially more than ever. And of course, you saw the Sabres fans. Everyone will say that the toughest game to win in the series is the closeout one, the fourth game of this. But again, I was expecting a little bit more for this team to again admit this could certainly play into the factor of just not having playoff experience, not being in the situation. When you have Boston, who do have some players in this moments here, at least having some playoff experience at the very least. Again, maybe that kind of showed its ugly head, unfortunately, just not being, not having experience, not being able to do it in that moment there. Hopefully they can kind of take this as a lesson going, a few days from on Friday where Game 6 will be played. They can take this, this last night in Game 5 and go back to Boston where you've played phenomenal in Game 3 and Game 4. Again, that was a stretch of the series I was worried about. I did not think they were going to walk away with 2 wins away at Boston. They did, and they dominated both games. And I hope that is a similar suit there, and this is not the momentum that's going back to Boston. And dare I say, I hope I'm not going to wood. Worst case scenario, the Sabres collapse. And I want the Sabres to go into Game 6 treating this like this is flipped. Like they are going to be eliminated if they don't win Game 6. I want to see that desperation. I want to see that pressure. I want to see the effort that they put in Game 3 and Game 4 because I am very worried if Boston wins Game 6 and it comes back to Buffalo Game 7 that it's not going to go well. Like I said, the home teams have not played that well in the series. I hope, again, for our sake, it continues going into Boston where they can pick up where they left off in 3 and 4. But I think for the mindset here and the mentality for the Sabres, even though Austin is going to be out for the game, which is a big loss, but I don't want to say if they lose, it's because Austin was in there. If Austin was in there, they would have won. No, they have plenty of players, they have plenty of talent to win this game. Absolutely they do. There's no excuse. I don't hear at all if Austin's on the line that they lose. That's the reason why. They have plenty of players to do so. And Norris is coming back. He hasn't been great this playoff series. He's still a talented player. They have, again, even without Norris, they still have more than enough players to do what they can to win. They were able to win a game without Austin in the beginning of the series. They can do it again in this series for this one going to Game 6. But I want the Sabres to have the same mentality as Boston. I want them to go all out. I think at times they were a little cautious. They were a little safe when they were playing, and that's not how you should. And I kind of look at this as a similar suit for at least a football mindset when people go against the Brady Patriots of the dynasty. When you saw teams that won, especially in the Super Bowl or in big games, they did not press. They did not play just to, they were scared not to lose. They went all out, and they matched that effort there, and there was no worry at all. And I want the Sabres to do so, where you shouldn't press, you shouldn't feel cautious, feel safe because you got a 1-goal lead, play conservative, play it safe because you're up 3-1, you want to make a mistake. Go out there and match the energy. Do what you did in the previous 2 games there, where you go all out and you suffocate the Bruins. You showcase that with the speed, with the talent of players you have, more depth than Boston. You showcase that the last 2 games of the series, that you can easily run laps around Boston. You can easily beat them and put them away. And that was something I was hoping for in this one, even though, again, Boston was going to play much better, and they bounced back, of course, which is no surprise at all for Game 5. But I wanted to see that intensity. I wanted to see that kind of killer will of saying, you know what? This is it. Let's finish it off here for the home crowd. And I hope that is going to be the mindset in Game 6, where we're not going to allow it to be back in Buffalo. We don't want to be back in Buffalo. It's been awesome to close it out in front of the fans in Game 5, but we're not going to do that in Game 7. We're going to close it out away at Boston in front of their fans. That's the mindset I want Buffalo going into this. I want them to be as desperate, as intense as Boston, because they can easily surpass them in that. Again, they showed that at times in the series. They can do it. When they flip the switch and they want to, they can certainly run laps around Boston, and they can put the pressure, and they can score goals, and they can suffocate them at times with the talent they have. That's what I want to see in Buffalo going into next game on Friday, and I'm a little bit disappointed that wasn't the case here for this one. Again, not horrible for both sides. It was a sloppy game for both teams, where they had plenty of opportunities to win, plenty of opportunities to put this away early, not able to. Boston comes out with the win again. With that, they finally broke through on Alex Lyon. And I want to say really quickly for Alex Lyon too, the only player I would say that played well in the game overall from start to finish was him. And he's been absolutely phenomenal, just not for this game, but since stepping in, really, if it was the end of game 2, but starting at least game 3 and the last 2 games, he's been absolutely phenomenal. One goal let in game 3, 1 goal let in last game, 2 let in for this one. And again, at some point, someone was going to break because Lyon and Swayman were playing great this game. Someone was going to break, and you were hoping that Swayman was going to be that guy before Lyon. Unfortunately, Pasternak makes a good move on Lyon, scores a goal there at the end. But Lyon has been phenomenal. He has been far better than UPL, even though UPL had a good game 1. You know, the stat sheet might show that to you with 3 goals let in. They weren't horrible goals. It was more just tough plays. You know, deflections, great opportunities by Boston. Unfortunate luck for us for some of those goals there. Game 2, collapse, and that one, no doubt about that. But Alex Lyon has been phenomenal, and I expect him to step up and be the same way he's been in next game. And I don't want the Sabres to abuse that and rely on that and be a little bit slacking off. No, again, you have the goalie, you have the great play from your goaltender. Go out there, go all out. If you make a mistake or two, I know which has hurt them in the past, and in the first game, second game, and so forth, which got them the loss in game 2. But be a little more aggressive. Not saying reckless, but put more pressure on there. You have the goaltending. Alex Lyon has been lights out for the most part since he's stepping in for this series against Boston. Lean into that a little bit. Don't abuse it. Don't rely wholly all on him. Just solely on him. Don't be reckless. I'm not saying, but put a little bit of pressure on there. Be a little bit aggressive. Alex Lyon's got your back. The defense has your back. They've been playing well for the most part as well in the series. Put some pressure on them. And again, I think that at some point in time, Boston will break. And you saw those opportunities coming down the stretch there. Unfortunately, you just weren't able to capitalize on those opportunities there. But you were getting the pressure on there. When you had chaos in front of them, when you had the buys in front of Swayman, you were getting the best chances for that too. Like, that just wasn't consistent enough in Game 5, which is a little bit disappointing, like I said. But again, you can just give tons of credit to Boston. I don't want to make it sound like only reason why Boston won is because Buffalo didn't have their A game. Give credit to Boston what they did. They fought back. They bounced back great after a embarrassing game a few days ago. Give credit to them. They were desperate. They came out. They found a way to win, and that's all that matters for their part. It doesn't matter how they won. They just got to win to stay alive. And for Buffalo, it needs to be that same mindset in Game 6. However you win, who cares? Win. And that's how I want to see going forward for this one. It was great to see that, like I said earlier, for the goal. Dahlin finally get a goal in this series, break the streak of even before the postseason with the power play. You finally broke that drought there, 1 of 2 in this one, technically 2 and 2, like I said from last game as well, if you want to look at it, but officially 1 of 2 for last night, and one power play for the whole series. So hopefully these are small things you can carry forward into this one. Again, it sucks that Osland is not going to be in the lineup, but again, you have more than enough talent to beat Boston. And Norris will be back for better, for worse for this one, however the lineups shake out too. I do expect Doan in that lineup to bounce back because they did struggle this game. I do expect them to bounce back and play much better for this one. I want to see Tage Thompson step up a little more, even though he did get an assist, so I want to say he did absolutely nothing, but I want to see him kind of take over like he did Game 1. I really want to see it because he has a capability. Unfortunately, there was one instance in the power play where he tries to take a shot, and it just, the sticks breaking is, I don't know what's going on. I feel like it's happening way too much this series for both sides, but I just feel like it's for Buffalo's favor. As soon as they get a good shot, the stick breaks. They have a great pass, the stick breaks. They have a wide open nut, the stick breaks. I mean, it's such bad luck of how things happening on here. But again, I want to see those top guys, Tage Thompson and Alex Tuch, really take over, because they've done that at times in this series. Last game, Game 1, and so forth. Tage Thompson, like I said, getting an assist for Dahlin. But I really want to see those guys really have that, because they are the X factor. They are by far the best players. They match up perfectly with the skill talent against Pasternak and whoever else you want to put out there for Boston. I want to see those guys take over. I want to see that, and again, like I said, the Doan lineup, I want to see the depth really step up in how they played throughout the series. I want to see that do that, because they have much better depth than Boston at this point here. Jack Quinn certainly getting good opportunities. I wish that he would shoot a little bit more in this one. People I expect to bounce back a little bit more. McLeod, I want to see step up next game. Krebs has been great so far in this series, but I want to see him continue that going to Game 6 too with his speed and his shots as well. And like I said, the Doan lineup, I want to see that be a little better, for this one. But again, it's going to wrap things up for the Game 5 recap. Again, Boston takes this one 2-1 overtime, and Game 6 is on Friday, 7:30 at Boston. So hopefully for that one, like I said in the previous video, hopefully we come back and we say that this is the game or the series winner, and we can look at round 2 and look who potentially the team will be moving forward. But let's take care of business at Game 6. Hopefully, again, we can talk about a win on Friday or Saturday if I make the video.